Take two.
Cool. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Hi, y'all.
Hi.
Happy afternoon. My name is Melissa Davis.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa. Hosting YTT 1.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. I've been teaching here ever since. In fact, I've never worked for another studio. I think I've got about 5,000 classes here teaching. Another 500 or so with Orange County Public Schools for their teachers. I've had over 800 hours of yoga training around and about yin and power and this and that. And I'm so happy to be here today. Yeah, I took the last couple of months off, 3. This is really like the second thing I've done here for 2024. I love yin. I'm happy to share it with you over the next couple of hours. My intention is that you leave here today and after this 2-hour window with an understanding of the difference in yin and yang tissues, the foundational properties, the tenets, if you will, the building blocks of a yin practice, the benefits of the practice, and just how it makes your life better. We're also going to actually do some poses. We will cover how to assist your students if they have a sensitive area. So really just in 2 hours, kind of a broad overview of yin. And then maybe as you continue through this training, we'll go a little bit deeper into some of that. I'm not sure what the big plan is today. So if you would, write down on your little piece of paper there, what my question for you. What in your mind is the difference in the yoga world, if you would, is the difference between yin and yang? Because it's the difference in yin and yang. And it doesn't matter to me what area, whatever, what is it? In the yoga world to you, what's the difference in yin and yang? Just a minute or so. Yeah, and write it down and write it down. Just like whatever pops into your head. Yeah. And how many of you have practiced yin yoga? Look, hold your hand up so I can actually see.
I better get to a class this week.
You did it once. Okay. And who actually likes it? And how many of you like practice yin more than power? Okay, a couple of you. All right. Okay, good. So if you would, somebody just raise your hand and tell me what is yin? What's the difference in yin and yang? Just raise your hand for like 5 words or less, 10 words or less. Anybody? Have they done much sharing?
Yeah, they know how to share.
Don't be scared, seriously. Thank you.
So
Mariah.
yes, yin is like much more soft and slow and gentle, very like to do with body feminine, while yang can be a little bit more hard and more difficult and put a lot more effort into it, more masculine.
Okay, yes. Anybody else? Yes.
Oh, my name is Kui.
Hi,
I
Kui.
think the two words that kind of come to my mind is the word surrender versus channel. Whenever I'm in my yin practice, I'm thinking of like how can kind of release. While when I'm thinking of the word like yang, it's more of like focusing my effort in like a specific way throughout my practice.
Yeah, putting effort towards that, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so both of you, you're both totally right. So in everything, right? In everything you do, in every moment of the day, there is yin and there is yang. Yin being the easier, more grounded, deeper, cooler side of life, and yang being the more active, fiery, bright surface side of life. And so today we're focusing on that yin, the yin side. And on a physical level, no, let's do this first. Everybody come into child's pose. Doesn't matter which way you face. Don't think too much about it. Now notice here in child's pose, notice where you may be still in action in your body. Notice where your muscles are hanging on. It might be in your feet, it might be in your calves, it might be in your legs or your belly, shoulders or your neck or your arms or your fingers. And then over the next 5 breaths, be intentional, if you will, with releasing what can be released. Yeah, and if this is uncomfortable for you, for whatever reason, then you come around and you sit on your bottom. My knees stink, yes. Right? And so if it's uncomfortable, change your position. Now notice your hips. Notice your knees and your ankles. Notice what you feel there. Notice where the shape that your body is. Notice the forces that you feel in your body in this shape. Where does this shape land in your body? And now come up onto your hands and knees. Cat and cow. Nice and easy. And as you come out of here, notice again where you feel it when you come out of that shape. Right? Notice your hips and your knees and your ankles. Go side to side as well. Just a little bit of movement here. Mainly, I want you to focus on what you're feeling in your body in this moment. And then take one foot and step it between your hands and flow back and forth in a low lunge. Blocks are usually helpful, but you don't have any right now. So if you do have one, grab it. Yeah, and your hands can be down on the earth, right? If they reach. Yep, and then switch sides, and flow back and forth in a low lunge on the other side. Yeah, and then just walk around to the side of your nut. Just turn to the wide side, drop your head wide-legged forward fold. Doesn't matter which way you go, don't worry about it. Drop your head. And if you don't like that, don't bother. You can just stay down on the mat. It's okay. Yeah, and then come on down to the earth. Any old seat you want to sit in. You can sit up on a bolster, you can sit on a block. So on a physical level, your yin tissues are the denser, deeper tissues. Your yin tissues are your bones, your ligaments that hold your bones together, the cartilage between your bones, and your fascia. Everybody know what fascia is, or is there? Yep. Your fascia is your organ of form. It's it holds muscle groups together. It holds everything together. Without fascia, we would be a pile of gooey bones. Yes,
It's like that silver skin you cut off.
I have seen that.
Like that.
That's right. Pantyhose. Pantyhose. Anybody ever wear them? Some of us did. Not since 1984, though, I can tell you that. So it holds things together. It also is it absorbs water, and it is the medium through which electrical impulses flow. So if your fascia is starting to dry out because of whatever it is you do during the day, age also does that. It begins to impact how you feel. It impacts everything. Okay, so yin targets your bones, your connective tissues, your deep tissues, your fascia. Okay, and anybody have braces? Anybody ever have braces?
Yeah.
You know how braces work, right? They put your teeth in a prison and they stay there for like 3 years. Okay? You impact yin tissues with a slow, steady force. You don't change your teeth position, right? By doing this, wiggling them, right? It's a slow, steady force. And the principle of yin is just that. Gravity, we use gravity on the floor to cause the force to your body in different shapes. You hold those poses for up to 10 minutes. Not generally in this studio though. All right? Your yang tissues are your muscles and your blood. And you exercise muscles through repetitive movement, right? Just go to a power class. They're more surface. Muscles are under the skin. They're more surface. They like to keep healthy by over and over motions. Joints, on the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum, do not like that. Repetitive motion wears joints down, starts to wear down the connective tissues of your bones. The yin practice nourishes, moisturizes, and keeps healthy those dense tissues. Okay, so yang tissues are muscles and blood. You exercise those tissues by repetitive motion. Yang, yin tissues respond best to slow, steady load. Yeah. So when you get into a shape, let's do it. Get into, let's just come into, what should we come into? Haven't really warmed up. Seated tree. Did you this morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have
You should
done
go get ready.
a lot.
Seated tree. Yeah, so just work around, right? Come into seated tree. Okay, sit up tall. Now move your chest towards your toes and just settle in right here. Yeah. Well, come on back up. Just rise up. And now as you get in, I want you to notice each step of this, okay? So sit tall, wiggle around, notice what it feels like getting into the shape. Sit up tall, notice it, tilt forward, seated tree. And then once you're there, do a scan. Notice where you're holding on and where you can let go. Notice if your shoulders are rising up towards your ears. Notice if your jaw is clenched. Just notice. And then imagine that you were to be here for 5 minutes. And of course, in Yin, in this studio, we use a lot of props. You don't actually, some of you have those, but we're not going to get into that just yet. So when you get into a Yin shape, just stay right where you are. The first thing that you do is get into the shape at a place that feels appropriate for you. Like almost up to your edge, but not quite. Because as you settle and stay in these shapes for longer and longer, you will get deeper. So you don't want to jam yourself all the way as far as you can go at the beginning of the shape, or you've got nowhere to go, right? So notice what you experience while you're here. And now, nice and easy, just come back up. Leave your legs like they are, but come back up, nice and slow. And then extend both legs long. And notice what you feel here. Coming out of the pose is as important almost as getting into it. Most injuries in Yin occur when you come out of the pose because you've been there for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and your body begins to take that shape. So it's super important that you type A's don't just throw yourself out of the Yin pose. You know who you are, right? And as a teacher, you have to give that information. You got to let your students know. Come out slowly, right? Because you could get hurt. So now, the 4 tenets of the practice. We're gonna go to the other side here, so you're all balanced out. So go into the other side with your seated tree, and you can write this down if you want. The 4 tenets of it. There's actually 7, but we kind of abbreviated here. The first one is come into the shape at your appropriate edge. The second one is we stay a while in stillness. But stillness is not exactly a law. If you notice that you are getting too deep in your stillness, you can always make an adjustment. Okay? You don't, I mean, no pain, no gain is not a thing here. And you also don't want to, start hurting. You gotta know that where you are is a safe place to be. Okay, so the second thing was we stay a while. The third thing is you come out slowly. Come into the pose at your appropriate edge. Stay a while. Come out slowly. So there's one more. So come into the pose at your appropriate edge. The second thing is get still. Okay, so sorry if that messes up the numbers. Because so if you're into something like, let's just say like pigeon, and we won't go there yet. It's an intense pose, right? It's an intense shape. And so when you get into a pose like that, where your body weight, if you're face down, your body weight is really pushing on your body, then you got to wiggle around and make sure, right, that where that shape that you pick is going to be okay for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, when you wiggled around and got into that shape, the second thing is get still. The third thing is stay a while. The fourth thing is come out easy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And as a yoga teacher, you need to tell your students that so that they go through this process when they come into Yin. Because there's so many people that, and y'all are probably just like everybody else. We all are. You're busy, busy, busy all day long. You come into a Yin class, you throw yourself into pigeon for 5 minutes, and then you jerk yourself out of it, right? And as teachers, you have to see that in your students. What's going on in them on the mat, and guide them through this practice. Tell them. Yell at them if you have to. Get into the shape at your appropriate edge, not too far. Wiggle around until you get into a shape that you can commit to for 3, 4, 5 minutes. Get still. Stay a while. Come out slowly. Okay? Every single time. So you're on this side with your seated tree, sit up tall, and then tilt forward. Right? So here we are. Come into the shape, wiggle around, get to a shape you can commit to. Bow forward. Yeah. Let's stay just a little while. Now while you're here, notice what you notice in the body, the sensations. So you have got a foot pulled into your inner thigh, which means your femur, your upper leg bone, is in abduction, out, externally rotated and out. That puts the head of your femur in your pelvis at a certain angle with certain forces. Can you feel that? Your knee is in flexion. You have flexed your knee. Your spine is in flexion. feel where this shape lands in your body. Because that's ultimately what you want your students to notice. Yin is a slow, deep, quiet, contemplative practice. Meditative as well. It's physically nurturing. It impacts you on an energetic, emotional, mental level as well. Can you see that while you are still in these shapes, gives you an opportunity to be reflective, contemplative, and even meditative? Come on back up. Extend both legs long. There's an aspect of this practice that we don't use too much in the studio, but it's called the rebound. After you come out of a shape, you notice if you're moving slowly, that means your yin's working, right? Sometimes when you hold these shapes, you can't come out too fast, right? Because your body just begins to take the form. And remember, the tissues that we're impacting are those deep tissues that aren't as pliable as muscles are. So when you alter them in a long yin pose, you can't come back out as quickly as you went in. Okay, so notice that. The rebound is where those tissues come back to the original position they were in. Sometimes the rebound can be just a few seconds. Sometimes it can be 10 minutes, depends on who's teaching it. But when you come out of a yin pose, notice, even tell your students, notice what you feel when you come out. Be in stillness for just a moment and feel the movement under the skin. If you really pay attention, and as we do some of these poses, you'll notice it more and more, some of the more intense poses. When you come out and you get still, you can actually feel the movement under the skin. When you compress your joints and these tissues, you kind of squeeze them. Therapeutic stress. When you release that, it triggers your body's response, repair response. Right? So your body's like, oh, shit, I gotta go take care of that knee right now. And it sends blood, it sends fluid, it sends energy, it sends everything to that place to nourish it. And therein lies the whole, physical principle of this practice. You therapeutically stress these areas so that your body triggers its repair response.
Good stuff.
So, Yin Yoga is in the same category as acupuncture, pranayama, meditation, in that it is a practice that enhances the flow of chi through your body. It enhances your vitality. These practices open up the pathways in your body for the free flowing of your life's energy. Prana, chi. I mean, yoga is all about how to improve the flow of chi through your body, whatever kind of yoga it is. Right? And pranayama and meditation are all forms of yoga. So if you think about it, when you're in these yin poses for 5 minutes, it's like it's like, and if have you been to acupuncture before? Right? So it's kind of the same thing. You hit these points with those needles and your body, it triggers the repair response to go there. Yin Yoga is the same way. You have an area of your body that you're applying therapeutic stress to, and then your body rushes to repair that. Pranayama is a way of breathing and actually improving your breathing, which is a wellness practice as well, right? Meditation is a way of calming the mind, focusing your energy, and clearing those pathways as well. So yin, acupuncture, pranayama, meditation, they're all chi flowing. What am I trying to say? They're chi enhancing practices, vitality enhancing practices. 100% self-care, yeah. That's yoga, right? Ultimately, I mean, honestly, yoga is about making your life better. And that encompasses your own well-being, your relationships, or how you handle the shit in your life. That's what yoga is about. And yin yoga, yin yoga actually is to me, the balance, the antidote for your busy, stressful life. And I know as Americans, Westerners, when we want to go, whether it's working, right? Whether it's working or taking care of our bodies or, hurry up.
Hurry up.
Get it right. Be the best. Look the best. Don't say anything stupid. All that. Yin is the opposite of that. Right? And I do believe absolutely essential to a balanced life. Pendulum swings really far sometimes. And if you don't notice it, because the body doesn't lie, if you don't notice it, it will slow you down and you'll get sick, you'll get injured. You know, you won't have any choice at that point. Yin yoga is your choice to balance out your busy life right now, okay? That's what I think. And as a yoga teacher, I think it's super important, you know, to shine a light on how busy everybody's life is. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hurry up, get to yoga. Hurry up, go pick up the kids. Right, so as a yoga teacher, a yin yoga teacher, super powerful for you to create a space where people can come in and have to drop it. Have to drop it. Slow, deep poses. And it ain't easy. Yin is a terribly physical, not terribly, it's a physical practice. And as part of that, it impacts your emotional state. Often. It impacts your energetic state. Often. What can we do now? Yeah, so the process of stretching, just listen to me. Don't write all this down because I'm pretty good about putting on Facebook or whatever y'all are, what I've told you. Okay, so don't worry, just listen. Because I really want you to understand the practice, the physical part of this practice, okay? The process of stretching and compressing tissues in long-held yin poses stimulates the body's repair response, sending qi and blood to the area, and that nourishes the targeted tissues. More on that later. The result is increased pliancy in the joint sides within their natural range of motion. This brings more ease of comfort when a body is still, and increased grace of movement when in motion, right? So you're more comfortable when you're sitting, and you're more fluid when you're moving. Yin vascularizes, you know what that is, right? Blood. And moisturizes the tissues, nourishing them for maximum utilization, stimulating the body in this way, especially in the older years. Helps refill the body's collagen supply, which is necessary for healthy joints. Healthy joints, yeah. And healthy joints are vital to maintain mobility and independence as you age, right? So Yin Yoga maintains fluidity. This is to really listen to this. Yin Yoga maintains fluidity in the yin parts of your body in the yin time of your life. Right? I love shit like that. You know, that makes so much sense to me. This practice of yin keeps your joints young and able to yang in the yin times of your life. All right. Okay, so the 4 tenets, this is important. We already said it. Come into the pose at your edge, get still, stay a while, come out slowly. So let's actually do some yin. So you will get into partners in just a little bit, but we're going to do some yin, and there are 3 questions that I want. As you come out, we're gonna like inquiry after it. So it's what does it feel like getting in? The second one is what does it feel like being in? And the third is what does it feel like coming out? Super basic. I want you to feel these shapes, how they land in your body, what comes up for you while you're in it, and then what it feels like when you come out. So we'll do 3 or 4 or 5 poses, and you'll get with a partner and you'll have that discussion. Okay? So yin is a specific practice here, and in every pose there is a target area. This might be something else just to remember. Very intentional practice. You are in seated tree, for example. The target area. Let's do this. Come into Sphinx pose. You know Sphinx? Come on down to your belly, up onto your elbows. There we are. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. You just kind of settle in. Where do you feel it? So what's the target area of this shape? Target area for, so this is yin. And yeah, you are supporting yourself on your arms and your triceps are in action, and that's fine. The target area of the shape is the lower, is the back, is the spine. Okay.
Almost.
Yes. So sacrum is all down part of the spine, right? And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. So stay where you are. Take a big breath in, fill all the way up. And then as you let it out, I want you to soften your gluteus maximus. Your gluteus maximus. Some middle school kid told me that. So cute. Right? That's it. Let your belly fall out. Soften your glutes. Right? And so the weight of gravity and the weight of your body in this shape, which is spinal extension, right? Spinal extension is back bend. Where do you feel the force? Lumbar maybe? Thoracic maybe? The target area for a back bend like this is your lower back, is your spine. Come all the way down to it here. All the way down to it here. So in every pose, there is a purpose, a target for being in that shape. You create a shape in your body that is going to stimulate the target area. Does that make sense? That's probably better than the way I said it before. If you're on one ear switch. Okay. So push back and sit on your heels. And if that's not great, you can either sit on a bolster or you can sit on a block like this. Maybe stick your feet straight out, hero's pose. You got a block, a nice block. And if you hate it, you can sit on a bolster or something. Right. What's the target area? Where do you feel it? Quads, right? Feel it here? Do any of you feel it here?
Yeah.
Okay, now, maybe start to lean back just a little bit. Now where do you feel it? More where? Quads, right? And ankles, yeah. So, yes. So now your knees are flexed and your hips are flexed. That lengthens your quadricep root. The target area in hero's pose is quads, is this area. Is your femur between your knees and your hips. But also, yeah, your ankles. Come on up, come out, do whatever feels good there. Okay. So come into pigeon. Now, you can do pigeon against the wall. You can skip pigeon. You can sit and crisscross applesauce. No.
This way, because the leg on my back.
So you know what else you can do?
I'm gonna burn.
Okay,
What else?
good. That's fine. That's fine. Well, so yeah, pigeon's good. Okay, so let me just say something here. So in pigeon, listen, you don't have to look at me, just listen. So that leg that's up front in pigeon, unless you're doing it on your back, don't listen to that. But it is the same, kind of. When your leg is up front, your upper leg bone is externally rotated, right? Right? Where do you feel it? Just take a hand and outer hip.
Well, a little bit in the hip. I feel it in the soles, right?
Do you?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly
so
where I was doing this.
Right. Don't do it then.
I got
Okay, so listen, so the target area in pigeon is your glute and your outer hip. Your outer hip and your glutes. But the leg sticking out the back is a hip flexor focus, right? So in every shape, there's multiple targets, but the primary target here in pigeon, if you are face down with the weight of your body on your leg like that, is your outer hip and your glute. The reason I bring this to your attention, get comfortable now. If y'all like pigeon, stay. If you want to come out, come out. Go to the other side. Let's do that. The reason I bring this up, the whole target area, the goal of a shape is to therapeutically stretch or stress a particular area. Somebody might have sciatic issues. Somebody might have knee issues. Somebody might have, I don't know, bad hip. People have everything, right? Everybody is different. And if you are trying to create therapeutic stress in the outer hip and glute, there are several ways to do that that's going to accommodate people's sensitivities. In pigeon, if you flip on your back, cross your ankle over your knee, it's the same shape without the weight of you adding extra force on the joint. Okay? If you've got something going on, maybe you're dizzy, maybe vertigo is an issue for you. Pigeon can also be done double pigeon. You're sitting. Your femurs are externally rotated. Your knee is flexed. You're creating that same stress in your hips that you do when you're face down or on your back. Okay? If your hips, for whatever reason, if the weight, everybody's femurs fit into their pelvis in a different way. If you looked at pelvises without all the tissue around them, you know what I mean? The bones of pelvis, you would see that the acetabulum, which is the cups that your femurs fit in, they'll go from the front of the pelvis to the side of the pelvis. It's incredible. Okay, if you get tired of pigeon, just come on out. So people's bones fit together differently, and so some folks just that pigeon face down doesn't work. Pigeon like this doesn't work. However, you might be able to do a deer pose. Bend that back leg. You still got the same thing, right? External rotation of that femur without the weight of you on it, right? The back leg is bent so that the hip flexor is not an impediment. There's all kinds of ways to create therapeutic stress in the target area. Every hand position, every foot position either adds to or takes away from your ability to stress that target area. So you begin to look at people, look at your students, not so much as a body, but as what am I trying to say? As like
Puzzle.
it's like everybody's going to be a little bit different. So maybe whatever reason, you need to be able to look at someone and say, okay, for whatever reason, pigeon this way is not going to work. Give them an option. You can therapeutically stress your outer hip and your glute by doing it this way, or lying on your back, or deer pose, or for crying out loud, just do tree. Right? Or crisscross applesauce. So you begin to look at folks in how can we get to that target area when their body may not want to do like everybody else. So that's why it's like, okay. For example, in that Sphinx pose, boom, Sphinx pose. Target area is lower back, lumbar, spine. Okay, some people can't do this. Some people it hurts like hell. Yeah. right? It hurts like hell to do this. So, what can you do? You could, I don't know, put a bolster behind them. Have them lie back on the bolster. Right? That'll get them a little bit of extension. Never want anybody to do anything that hurts. Okay? Let's look at, did we do both sides of pigeon? Okay, no, yeah, we did, but okay, let's do butterfly. Okay. So here we go. So target area for pigeon. Outer hip and glutes. What's the target area for butterfly pose? Inner thighs. Yeah. So a lot of, are y'all familiar with meridians? You know what that word means?
No.
I'll tell you. So energy, energy runs through your body in thousands upon thousands of little energy channels. Traditional Chinese medicine calls those channels meridians. The India folks call it nadis, right? There's tens of thousands of them. And through years and years and years and years and years and years and years of wellness practice, these pathways have been identified, acupuncture. These pathways have been identified. There's 7 main ones, and the inner thighs run like 4 of your major energy pathways run through your inner thighs. So I try and do butterfly every single day, right? It affects the energy. These energy pathways affect the health of your organs. I like to say that your emotions flow on the prana winds that run through your body. So those energy channels that run through your body control you on really an energetic level, an emotional level, physical level as well. So that's Yin is about clearing those pathways. And the deeper you get into the practice, the more you learn how those pathways goes and what poses actually impact the pathways to help, overall wellness. So here we are in butterfly pose. Now I want you to just look around. In fact, let's do this. Can you see people? Just look around and see how people's legs are here. Just see how everybody's different. Some people can't even sit like this. I'm close to one of those. See how high my legs are up off the ground? That's because of the way my femurs fit in my pelvis. Some folks are like all the way down. Okay, a lot of that is just how you're put together. Right? Some people don't even feel a stretch in your, who does not feel a stretch in your inner thighs with this? Yeah, okay. I sit like this because this is the best way for me to sit, to get a stretch. Y'all, many of you don't feel it, do this. Go wider, extend the lever. Now do you feel it? Okay, same thing. You're stretching your inner thighs, right? Some people, get back together again. Some people, like me, feel this better. So I'm target area is what? Inner thighs. I don't really feel it in the inner thighs because my fingers are up so high, they can't get down enough to stretch them out. I feel this a hell of a lot better if I lie back. Okay, it tilts my pelvis back. It allows my femurs to go further down. I feel this shape a lot better when I lie on my back. So can you create some space for yourself and just notice it, okay? Notice right here, upside down. So lie on your back for a minute. Notice where you feel it. Take 5 nice, just nice easy breaths. This is not ujjayi. This is let go. Stay where you are. Can you notice? Can you notice how your body starts to let go of the grip that it has on you? As in this stillness, this slow, easy breath. The longer you stay, the more your body feels safe. Your nervous system feels safe and you're quiet. It loosens its grip. I feel it more in your hips. Just notice what comes up. The next 5 breaths, just as you're still. Notice how sensations might change in your body. Notice how your breath might change, your heart rate. Does it start to hurt? Draw your knees together. In. Breath weight, pull back up to your center. Time. You begin to look at people as muscle groups and skeletal groups instead of, just a human person, a blob. When you look at body parts and muscle groups and skeletal groups, then you can begin to apply, how am I gonna get into their inner thighs? How are we gonna safely and effectively impact the target areas that we want to impact with practice? Got questions? Anybody? Let me go back to my cheat sheet. What's your name? Dia. Speak up so everybody can hear you.
I know that we in this moment went backwards. Is it the same thing to go forward?
Where do you?
In terms of, because I feel it a lot more, I guess, inside when I
Go forward. Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if we.
So how? In the butterfly pose, you're targeting the inner thighs. So if what I usually say is come into butterfly, seated. If you come forward and don't feel it, try lying back. Give them an option. I mean, honestly, because it's not about what it looks like ever. It's about what it feels like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's about the target area is your inner thighs. If you don't feel it sitting in butterfly on your sitter tilted forward, then what the hell's the point of that? Try going back. If you don't feel it either way, try extending your legs out. See if that works. Because the most important thing is, how do I stress these tissues? Right? That's first. How do I stress these tissues? Butterfly does it. Frog does it. Of course, you can't just say, the target area is your inner thighs, go. Right? You can't say that. So we as teachers guide them through it. Okay, so that makes sense?
Yeah.
So frog, frog face down while we're just talking about inner thighs is an intense pose, right? Intense. Okay, so you can do half frog. You can flip over on your back for frog, for me, flip over on your back and do happy baby. That kind of gets in there too, right? The more you teach, I don't want you to, so the more you teach, the more you look at people as arms and legs and muscle groups, and the more practice you have at identifying target areas and focusing on that as part of your teaching, then the easier it is to teach this stuff.
Mhm.
Start with the pose. So for example, give me some yin poses. What would be good yin poses? So yin is on the ground, slow deep stretch, targeting joints, right? Because it's a healthy practice for your joints and your bones. So call out some
Half frog.
Huh?
Half frog.
half frog, yeah, well, yeah, call out some
I
yin
like
poses.
sleeping deer.
Supine twist.
Supine twist, sleeping deer, twisted deer, sleeping deer. Yeah, what else? Child's pose, pigeon,
Lizard.
lizard,
Seated tree.
seated tree,
Fish pose.
fish, fish, yeah.
Or the bridge.
What's tadpole? I don't even know what tadpole is.
Yesterday. Oh,
It's like a baby frog.
Baby frog. It's kind of like
Show me,
frog.
show me.
When you have a bolster, and
Child's
it's
pose.
a child's pose, but you're more in a frog pose in the back,
Like toes together, knees wide.
Yes.
More.
Yes.
It's child's pose with the bolster.
Yeah.
That's tadpole?
So we give feet touch.
Okay, right, I was doing it right there. Question,
So, because I've only done one.
did that answer your question? Yes.
I've only done one yin class that was yesterday.
Did you love it?
I did. It was cool. I think I need more yin in my life. Now. There we go. That's what I'm understanding. But as you were talking, do you stress one area one time during the class, or do you do multiple poses that stress the same area?
Excellent question. So, excellent question. Sometimes you could have a, yeah, yes, and yes, and yes. Sometimes you could have a class that focuses on twists, or that focuses on your spine. You could have a class that focuses on hips. You could have a class that focuses on shoulders, lower back. Okay. You also can do yin classes that get everywhere. Back of the body, hamstring stretch. Work on outer hips, work on inner thighs, work on spine, shoulders, a full body. And I tend to do that more than not.
But piggybacking on that, do you find if you did focus on one thing that like maybe people get over stresses?
Excellent point. So yin is a very, very physical practice, y'all. And it's a super important job as teachers to know that people that are not used to doing yin, people that might be compromised skeletally, right? Osteopenia, porosis, any skeletal issues. Because the older we get, the less strong our bones are and the tighter our muscles get. The hard stuff gets soft, the soft stuff gets hard. That sums it up. So yes, in answer to your question, you have to be really mindful. You might plan on having a class that's gonna work, show up here. Okay, I'm gonna do 8 hip poses today because I'm focusing on hips and how it's the center of you and how this is where your emotional library, story, all the shit that you want to say about hips. And then you get somebody coming in on, crutches or something. Or they say on their sign-in sheet, which you gotta read too, right? Hip replacement or osteoporosis or scoliosis or, whatever it is. And it's not that you have to change your class completely, but you need to be aware that, you know what, I'm gonna have to give this person some options. Does that make sense? Yeah, you can overdo it. People have been hurt. Not necessarily in our classes, but people can get hurt. And a lot of times you'll get type A's that are used to, sun A, sun B, power, all that good stuff. Listen, I'm guilty. Coming into yin and throwing themselves into something and having, loading themselves up with sandbags and just staying. And yeah, it can hurt you. So it's your job as a teacher to make sure your students stay safe, even if they want to hurt themselves. And you know what I mean by saying want to, it's that nobody really wants to, but just by not paying attention. Did that answer your question?
If somebody does like pull something, what do you do in the middle of class? Something to the side?
Unless they gotta go, I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Don't throw attention to it. If they need to just relax and leave, they can relax and leave.
That's, in that position, you can aggravate, like, say with the sciatica, me having the sciatica. So that happened, like, I think around the time when I was doing the little yoga, getting into it. And I may have been that type of get out
Yeah,
and injure myself.
yeah.
Because I had really much, because I was like, something's wrong. And that can happen, right? That sciatic episode can happen. Because when you say it's a
Therapeutic stress is different than
then just jumping
hurting
out.
stress.
Yeah, because it wasn't hurting going into it. But, after you get out, then I start walking, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Like, it's a shooting pain. It's like something you can't imagine. So I was just wondering, maybe I did something that I got out too fast.
Maybe.
But that's just sciatic, so that's different than okay.
Yeah. As a teacher, we cannot feel what our students feel. Nor should we really say you're supposed to feel this. In a target area, we're stressing the target area, okay? You don't really know what your students are feeling.
Right.
And it's not your job to know what they're feeling, okay? It's your job to guide them through it safely. You can't tell them what to do because you don't know what it feels like in their body. You can say, come into pigeon, right? If this puts painful pressure on your knee, flip over on your back. You can say that, right? If this makes you dizzy lying on your back, come to a seat and we'll work at it that way. But you don't know what they feel. You don't know what they feel. So, okay. So let's get back on. Oh, I wasn't off track. So in this studio, we use a lot of prompts for yin, so that you can be supported. For the very reason that sometimes when you stay in these poses, it puts a lot of pressure on the connective tissue in your joints. Like in butterfly, if you lie back and your femurs are up off, your legs are heavy. Your femurs are up off the ground when you're in butterfly. They're just suspended there, right? If you slide blocks under your knees, if you slide blocks under your knees, then your legs are supported. When your legs are supported, these inner thighs will release. Because those muscles are, they're holding your legs up. But when those legs are supported, they'll release. And it allows you to get a little deeper. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not to say you should always support yourself or you don't grow at all. Right? Same thing in like even child's pose, a bolster. So it's like sometimes in child's pose, you know, your hips are kind of up for whatever reason, your chest isn't all the way down on the ground. There's a gap. There's a gap between a body part and the earth. It's often very helpful to your students to fill that gap. Fill that gap so that your body is supported and it will release into that support. That makes sense? Okay, you know, and sometimes you'll have folks that come to class that are super resistant to props. Like props mean that they're like a bad yogi or a wimpy yogi or I don't know, whatever logic in their brain. But what actually it does is it allows you to get more out of the practice. Oftentimes, right? Your body is in such a way that, you know, it can't quite get down to the earth to support it, then bring the earth up to it. Support your legs, support your head, so that your body can relax into it. You don't always want to be comfortable in yin practice. Restorative, yes. So there's different types of yin practice, right? Restorative yin, the goal is to be comfortable. For example, in that butterfly shape, let's do this. You've got props too. So can you come into butterfly? What's your name, Tina? Yeah, so lie back on your, lie back here. Okay, boom. Lie back. Put a block under there. Put a block under here. Feel supported?
Yeah, it's comfortable.
As mission accomplished. And there are yin practices, restorative yin practices, where the goal is to be comfortable. You are fully supported. So that your body is comfortable, your nervous system is comfortable, you feel safe, and you can just drop into it. Okay, I don't teach a lot of restorative. There will be a swivel. I just don't. But no, but know that if somebody in my class needs that, chances are I'll know it and I'll set them up in that shape. Okay? So there's restorative where you're fully supported, you're always comfortable, and it lands deep. It lands deep in on your nervous system. You know, energetically, you're able to release emotionally, all that, and that's super important for if you want to take a restorative class. Yin can be, you stay as long as you want. And also, you know, you think about coming into dragon pose and staying here for 5 minutes. That's what I'm saying. I like that. I like that kind of. 5 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So now you come into a yin, into dragon. Okay. So the target area is hip flexor, right? Outer hip, not really outer, hamstring, glutes, hip flexor, really hip flexor. Okay. So the area around your hips is the area that you want to try and relax. Not everything has to be relaxed, like in restorative, in this shape. Now you could bring a bolster and put it under here. You could bring blocks and stack it up, and that will help support you. But you can also just be right here on your arms and be intentional with softening these muscles through your hips. Right? Concentrate, because the target area really is your hips, hip flexors, glutes, the joints, your hip joints. And so you send your breath down to this area because it's your target area, and that's what you're trying to impact by this shape. That is not restorative, and it's extremely uncomfortable, and it can be hard to stay in this shape for 5 minutes. And what happens when something's hard? What happens when there's challenges? People get like, we want to get out. Some do. Some are like,
Fear
okay,
response
you're
trigger.
done with that. They come right out. So there's a physical, right? There's the physical part of it. There's the emotional part of it. And like I'm sure you've heard teachers say, how you show up on your mat for yoga is how you show up in the minutes of your life. So if you're willing to give up, then on the mat, then that's probably the way. You brought it with you. So it's an opportunity to see how you show up for the challenges in your life. It's an opportunity in this contemplative, still, quiet, safe space to see how you handle stillness, how you handle silence, how you handle challenges and feelings and sensations. Yeah. The body doesn't lie. The brain does. But the body doesn't. What was my point? So is there, I'm kind of all over the place and I didn't mean to be. Yeah, we've got about 30 minutes. So let's do this. I keep saying we're going to get in partners and I haven't done that yet. Okay, come into, so we are going to do it. So remember the 3 questions? What does it feel like going in? What does it feel like while you're in? What does it feel like coming out? Okay, so I want you to just be aware of that. We're going to come into lizard lunge. Hold on. Here's what I say. Here's what I say. Lizard lunge. Okay. If you hate this pose, the target area is your hip flexor and your glute, right? In the front, hip flexor in the back, it gives into your hips. This, if you hate this or you've got a knee issue, can be done like this.
That's the one.
People are like, oh, thank God. And then, okay. It can also be done like this. Who's got a block? Because you get a little bit of hip flexor and you get a lot in here. Okay. What's another one for my lunch? That's enough for you. So I always say that on the ones that are just really challenging, you know, I'll give them a minute though. I'll be like, lizard lunge. Some folks will go right there. Some folks will be like.
Always the sigh.
So we're looking around, and seeing if anybody else is not gonna do it. And then when people get it, they'll go, or it can be done like this. And they're like, oh. Okay, so anyway, lizard lunge. Let's start with the leg closest to Kareem. And it can be done on your back, or you can skip it all together.
Are they in partners or they're just all?
Not yet, they
Right,
will be.
okay.
So you will be in partners when you're done. But now I want you to remember the 4 tenets. What are the 4 tenets? Come into the shape at your appropriate edge. Get still. Stay a while. We're going to stay for 2 minutes. Stay a while. The timer's already started. Ish. Timer. Now I got one. It's a stopwatch. Okay. That's it. Oh. Slow down your breath. Send your breath to where you feel it. Where do you feel it? That's right. And there's nothing that says stay. If you get to the point where you know this sucks, then you come out and flip over on your back. I don't know what you feel, but if there is a sharp pain in your back or a sharp, injurious pain in your knee or your hip, come out and lie on your back. Notice what comes up while you're in this. Hmm. Come out, lie on your belly as quickly as you can and easily as you can get to your belly, or if you're on your back, stay on your back. Come straight down, all the way down. Notice what you feel. You feel it? So while you're here, where do you feel it? And can you feel that movement underneath the skin? Your body rushing to nourish that area you just stressed therapeutically. This practice is as much about paying attention to what your body is telling you in the stillness as it is a physical practice. Listen to your body, not the bullshit between the ears. Sometimes it's not bullshit, but often it is. Listen to your body. If you're on one ear, switch it. Emotions flow on the body's pranic winds, move through the body in a way directly related to the ease or dis-ease of which chi flows. Come out, switch sides. You might want to come back to tabletop and do a little bit of movement before going to the other side. You'll have 2 minutes on the other side as well. Four tenets. Wiggle around in that initial shape until you create one that you can commit to. You get still. Minutes. And then just listen. It takes concentration to stay in a challenging shape. Get to practice concentrating and using that force to overcome the habit of running away. Concentration is a necessary skill when you're navigating the path to meditation, being present for your life. Concentration is a necessary skill. So many distractions. So many things that we want to go towards, so many things that we want to run away from. Is my yammering causing you to get irritated? Is this pose pissing you off? And what else pisses you off? Breathe. Find out what it's like to stay for 10 more seconds. You don't know what's on the other side unless you stay at the edge. Come on out. Make your way down to your belly. Slowly. Feel it. Down and be still and see if you can feel the movement underneath the skin. Switch ears if you're on one ear. This practice keeps your body mobile and fluid. Helps you maintain your stability and your focus, your independence, and that all helps with being at peace as you age. Okay, then come on out. Just take whatever feels good here in the moment. And so I want you to get with a partner on your mat, and for that dragon pose, what it felt like going in, what came up while you were in, and what came up after when you got out. I want you just to think about it, get with a partner, talk about it. Okay? Just do it. You can get on the same mat if you don't have a partner. Raise your hand. Yeah, so if you don't have a partner, raise a hand. Everybody's got a partner, don't they? Yeah. Should be 4, 6, 8, 2.
Or if you want to do one.
Yeah, group of 3, right there.
Yeah.
Y'all do 3.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so hold on.
Waterfall.
The way I want this to go, please. One person talk. Whoever is got the longest hair, start. What it felt like going in, what it felt like being there, what it felt like coming out, and just whatever comes up for you is relevant. Okay, so 3 minutes each. The other person just listen. All right, it's not a discussion right now. It's a one-way street. Okay, go.
What
time are we ending? 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Delicious. Very good.
I mean, me too. I was here the whole time. Awesome. What do you feel like with it?
I don't even want to get cross. I don't like that. I've never wanted to talk more about this. Anatomy of it, yeah. Foundation. I mean, this would be helpful to me. What I like is that we're getting like, so we can go from there and so all the way to it. Yes. Yes. And there are archetypes. There's like there's 7 of them.
Yeah, that's bad.
If you're in this shape, this is the target. You're in this shape, this is the target. So let me go over that one. Yeah.
I then like to
I was more teaching again.
and then out of it, just another minute.
I'm just gonna give them the now.
I also tell them where it's supposed to go.
10 seconds.
I do. I can feel it here. Rather than I can't with this thing. It's so zoomy.
Sorry if it hurts I'm walking. Fire about it.
It's like your little face meeting the.
And if I stay back and then focus on nope. Yeah.
It's like sneaky. It's like. Wow. Overnight tonight.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Look who I get to spend my time with.
Sometimes when I'm really tired,
Baby. I love her so much. I delivered her. So I delivered her, and then her mom was taking postpartum doula through the company that I work for.
You got 3 minutes if you haven't already. It was
Sorry, I said, keep her alive. Yeah, so it's any it's like usually people take out the first like 2 months of fight, but some people want it longer, like a couple that probably have gone on to like 6 to 8 months. But most people have like intermediate like first few weeks like it's so helpful. Yeah, lots of people don't even know what that is. Yeah. A lot of them don't. When I tell them or I talk about it, they're like, so are you a midwife? Like, what's the difference? Yeah, you're constantly a lot of like, stand up.
yeah, because I thought it was midwife.
Yeah. So, we got a lot of people like that. Yeah, I didn't do that very much. Yeah. Yeah. Both very, really important components, but very, very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, copy that.
So is it after?
Yeah. So they go to bed and then I sit in a little crib next to the bed of mine.
It's not like over the crib like.
Well, it is. Well, it is me over the crib line, but I don't like that. But yeah, so I'm gonna see if anyone's gonna be there. Probably come. Yeah, I'll probably come and pick up one or two. Unless you for something else. Oh yeah, I'm literally like on my back. It is like that added weight. Nick is also doing it. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, cool.
I'm so excited. I'll try to make it to your 7:30.
Okay. Anybody? Anything? What came up for you before, during, and or after? Any insights, any honesty? Anything?
I'll say like after, usually after being uncomfortable in a yin class like that, I'm just thinking about like the relief of not being in that pose anymore. That I've never paid attention to like what that part feels like after I come out of it.
Right.
So to actually like kind of feel some heat there and like my heart like beating in my leg, I've just never paid attention to that.
Right. Yeah, we can. We've noticed.
Right. And that is as much this practice as anything right there, because your body will tell you what's going on with it. We just oftentimes choose not to pay attention to that.
Now, is that something you point out when you're teaching? Like,
I do.
pay attention.
Yeah.
Where I do. It's like, what comes up? What do you notice here? Because most of us move through the day, move through the week, move through our effing lives without ever paying attention or choosing to ignore what's actually going on. That's why there's a lot of tears in yin.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of not, and hopefully not from pain. Not that, but from noticing and acknowledging and accepting whatever it is. Yes. Thank you. Notice. Your body will tell you, and we choose not to, because we're looking at the flashing lights that are trying to get our attention, to buy the whatever, and all of these things going on, vying for our attention. It is the most important commodity you've got is your attention. So where the hell does it go during the day? Who do you give it to? What do you give it to? Yin begins to shine a light on you as the object of your attention.
Catch me saying that in Thursday's class.
Me and Saturday.
We said it first, but you know, when we're in the process of purifying, sometimes it is impatient. But I love that, and it's that discomfort, not pain, but I love that release. I love that emotional, that endorphin release almost. When you do release that and that blood flows and the pain is gone, that discomfort is gone, and it just feels so fluid. And that's what, you know.
Yes, thank you. The tendency of the universe, the tendency of your body, because we are of the universe, right? The tendency of your body is towards balance. It's towards balance. So if you stress an area, your body's going to rush. You have a healer within. You have a healer within. If you listen to it and if you pay attention to what's going on in your body. This practice is really helpful for opening up your ears to that.
It was Yin which inspired me to continue more yoga, I think, for me, because because I was just doing full flow on a Sunday for fun, but again, when I discovered it, opened my eyes to the possibility of what other yoga does for me too.
Right, exactly. And again, you know, we like, as Americans, we like to work really hard and go. Right, and there's a sense of, oh, shit, if I'm not getting my heart rate up and doing 10 sun salutations and holding chair and, you know, chaturangas,
I'm not working.
then it's a waste of time.
Before I started yoga,
You know it's true. You know it's true.
before I started practicing, though, I was just like, oh, it's just standing. You know, how is that a workout?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you.
What I noticed getting, I've compared my experience last night to what we just discussed today.
Last night you took, was it Yvette's class last night?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I mean,
yeah.
up until this moment, I kind of just thought of Yin as like the more relaxed side of it. So I felt like I kind of was like in and out of a sleepy state last night. Versus today, I was more intentional about breathing into the tight spot. Like, no, like stay here. And I tried it on two sides. I tried it on my back and then tried it forward to see what that difference was too. And it was like, while on my back was a little bit easier, I wasn't as connected. I wasn't engaged in the pose at all. I was just in that sleepy kind of state. But when I was like, oh no, we're all here. Yeah. We're here.
Your attention is
Nah.
drawn to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And can you stay in this state of stillness and ease and quiet and safety that you feel when you're in that moment of, okay, I'm all here, 100% present. I feel it. I feel it. And can I still stay grounded and yinish and present?
You told me 10 seconds until that made it easy.
So listen, I know there's a lot of you teachers that tell you how much longer you got. I mean, I don't ever. Oh, 3 more breaths. Shit, no, you don't ever know how long it's gonna be. And if you're twitching, it's lasting longer.
Just real quick, so I never really pictured Yin as like I'm feeling a little fire because I always power equals fire. But just while we were holding that pose, you know, you're holding it for 3 to 5 minutes, and kind of the last minute or minute and a half, you start to really feel that fire in that one specific spot that we're stressing and whatnot. And it was very interesting to me. So I thought about fire equals in Yin or anything, and then when coming out of it, kind of feeling like a cooling sensation about those areas because you're just, you know, connecting yourself to the floor and letting it just kind of all drop and be calm and cool.
Yes.
So I never would have thought fire, I would feel any sort of fire in Yin.
So, yoga is not a passive practice, y'all. It's not a passive practice. Even restorative Yin, you know, there's an element of intent and resolve, even in a restorative class. Okay, it's not passive. And Yin Yoga, least of all. It is. And it's absolutely essential for your busy life. Yes.
I feel like when we were in the pose and then you started talking about concentration, I am such a hot power gal. Like I never sit down. Like I live and die can wait to a hot power class. Like this, and then when I get out, and like for some reason, like I don't know, like it's just like my speed. And then like when we're on the mat, and you were like, "Oh no, this takes concentration." Right before we started, she asked me this morning, she's like, "Do you read?" And I was like, "Dude, I lack the concentration to even pick up anything." So no, I haven't read a book, and I can't tell you how long. And then literally sitting there, and you talked about it, I almost feel like I like blacked out in a way. Like I'm breathing and I'm in it, and I was like, "Wow, I'm here right now, and this is all I'm doing. This is literally the only thing I have to focus on is right here on this mat right now." And it actually made me slow down. And I was like, oh my God, I almost literally started bawling my eyes out. And I started laughing instead. I was like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's freeing.
Yeah, so, see? Yeah, Yin Yoga, who knew?
I didn't.
For me, it was like just really resonating with me was like the brain lies, not your body. And I was going into that to live the pose like, oh my gosh, I hate this pose. It hurts my knee. Like I'm not gonna do it. And it just my brain was just spiraling out because that's what it what happened maybe one time I did it, and so then for them I'm not gonna do it again. So I'm like, you know what, let me try it. And there's a lot of different things. Like I have a different mat. I'm in a different part of the studio. It's not the hard wood that was under where my mat was the last time I did it. I'm like, wait, it doesn't hurt my knee. Oh wait, I can do this. And it's just
Girl,
because I
brain
just did
lies.
it. Yeah.
It tells you shit that's not even true.
Right.
Like just make stuff up to keep you from doing something that
It doesn't know about.
Yin Yoga is good for concentration. It shines a light on where else you don't concentrate in your life. Yeah, it's good for dealing with challenges. Yeah, where else do you run away from a bump in the road or something that stresses you in a little bit, relationships, when you go in to eat a meal, when you go to work, when you're driving, what happens when the stresses of life that are inevitable and constant? What happens when that what happens to you? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, good. And it's extremely soothing for your central nervous system. The more, and listen, we're running on high speed, on fight or flight most of the time. Chest breaths all day long, right? Distraction all day long. All day long. It takes practice to change that habitual behavior. It doesn't have to be like that. It takes practice to change that habitual behavior. This is a good place to start.
I was just gonna say it creates a different sense of noise. Like there's all this distraction in your world and your life, but doing that and staying in the pose, it creates some kind of that discomfort and all that. But it helps you somehow when you go out in the world deal with all this other noise that's happening around because you have to find that sense of stillness and calmness.
Are any of you musicians? Play instruments?
Yeah.
It's practice. Practice is by definition doing something over and over again to get better at it, not just to do it over and over again. All you folks that get on the mat to, I don't know, just on the mat, off your day. Practice actually means you have inquiry around the work that you're doing when you're on the mat so that you leave the mat better than you got on it. And hopefully the next time same thing. You see where you are. You practice with the intention of getting more masterful at being you. So, okay, what else?
I feel like I used to like the path of least resistance, and now that I'm growing in this and realizing that usually the most rewarding things and the things you do in life is the path of most resistance. I don't want to sit with my thoughts in the end, so I'm going to sit with my thoughts in the end. And they also say that the smartest people out there get the best ideas in silence, and just finding that little spot in your brain where you can clear all your thoughts and think for nothing. Even for 20 seconds, it comes up with the most beautiful inner thoughts because it's not that little nagging voice. It's actually you and your soul and your spirit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys this as I come up with my best ideas for teaching when I'm in class. And that's why I keep telling you, bring a Post-it note, because I'll think of the greatest thing, and then I'll lay in Shavasana and wake up and be like, damn it. What was that? But yeah, totally.
Okay. Is it already 4:07?
Next time.
Yeah, because I could spend easily 30 minutes on this next stuff, but let's not do that. Anybody else? You got the 4 tenets? You think you got some benefits
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
from Yin Yoga that maybe you didn't have before? Can you see how it makes aging better?
Mhm.
Listen,
We
we
can
got
look it over here.
because we're all aging, hopefully. And can you see how it's important as a teacher, almost to be able to see your students in a way that, what am I trying to say? You got to see your students. You got to see them. Everybody that walks through that door and gets on your mat. Everybody, see them. And particularly in Yin, when you've got these deep holds with a lot of force going on joints. Okay, it's super important to see your students and to care for them. They should be cared for when they come to, not catered to, but cared for. Okay, in the class. So, anything else?
Thank you.
That was one.
What are they doing? Are they coming to Yin?
Oh, what a good question.
Nah, they're like.
Well, we know you're doing hot